it's about the Newah Buddhism is a part of his life right now. So he's been, joining our class in most of our classes. So he's very fascinated with the Newah Buddhism. So that's why he went himself in the Kathmandu Valley, and he just learned a lot of things. He feel like he's so fascinated with the Newah culture, Newah Buddhism, Buddhist culture. So he want to give a presentations today. So welcome everybody to the Matthew show. Okay, floor is yours. I'm making the point. And
First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for coming here today. I know in Southeast Asia it's early in the morning, and in the US it's in the evening. So I'm very happy that everyone came here, and I really appreciate it. So maybe to start, I'd like to ask, so who has never heard about Newah Buddhism? So maybe you'd like to unmute yourself and maybe just do some introductions. Is there anyone? Then maybe you've heard it for the first time. Or you could do message as well.
Yeah, I heard it for the first time only through you.
Oh, hi, Eugene.
Hi, morning.
Hello. Okay. Um, all right. So then we'll start with the slides then. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep,
Oh,
sure.
right. Slideshow, present view. Right. So this is the introduction to Newah Buddhism. So I think first of all, we'll start with the history first. So Newah Buddhism, I I'm very aware that there are perhaps many different accounts of how it all started, but the way that I have been taught was that it came from this Swambhu Purana. So Swambhu Purana, it's kind of like a spiritual text in the Kathmandu Valley. It details a lot of things, but it also details like the history of it. So if any of you has watched Doctor Strange, I actually prepared this. You would see that this Swayambhu, right, is actually a UNESCO heritage site. So I would do right. So it's this place actually. So this stupa, yeah, this is called the Swayambhu. So it's this place. So it's actually quite famous in the world. And so the story goes that this Bodhisattva Manjushri. So if any of you who are not that familiar with Buddhism, Bodhisattvas are beings who have vowed to reincarnate as many times as possible in order to bring liberation to the entire world. So this particular Bodhisattva today, this is the aspect of wisdom. So it was said that during his deep meditative absorption, he sensed a power center in a place called Nagabastaha. So he went to the lake, then he kind of observed the lake and kind of realized that there was a sacred relic there that could be very beneficial for people and humans to live there. So in the legend, it was said that he sliced through the hill with his knife, right? So he drained the water out, and then the Kathmandu Valley was born as a result. So from there, he also received many tantric transmissions and empowerments, or in Sanskrit, you can call it a diksha, from the Dakini, which is a female Bodhisattva, Nairatma. So she transmitted the teachings to him, and having learned all these tantric teachings, he then passed it on to his higher Shantika Acharya, where Shantika Acharya then was able to continue the Vajracharya lineage as afterwards. So he passed it down to many people, teaching them how to realize the innate Buddha nature of one's very own mind. So that's the kind of like a story in brief for everyone. So, but of course, Newah Buddhism was, I would say, pretty much suppressed for the last 800 years. The major kingdoms that ruled Nepal were of different beliefs and faiths. So it was such that if you were practicing Buddhist in the open, then you would be persecuted. It wouldn't be very safe for you to practice Buddhism in public, right? So the whole idea of monastics, monks, and nuns, it had to be dissolved for a while. So people had to kind of go in order to preserve the teachings of Tantric Buddhism in Nepal, right? They had to kind of go underground. And so they started having families. They had to blend in with society. And as a result, you could kind of say that, mm, you could kind of say like the teachings were then passed down through a family basis. So it was like the parents would pass it down to the child would then pass it on to the future generation. So it's a very different kind of tradition of Buddhism in the sense, because now we have the tradition of lay non-celibate monks, or I wouldn't say monks, but maybe more like priests in the sense. And as a result, it's also not very well known in parts of the world nowadays, up until recently. But otherwise, it has been kept hidden for quite a long time. So, history of Newah Buddhism, at least from my teacher's lineage, the one that I've been taught in, he it came from this Mahavihara, which is also called the temple, called Mantra City. Literally, it means the, how do you say this? The power of the mantras are imbued within the temple itself. So that's the literal name for it. So 2000 years ago, Buddhism was a very popular one, popular place of study and thought. So perhaps it was as famous as Oxford nowadays. So my teachers' ancestors, they were responsible for building a lot of these temples to serve as these universities for all these transmissions and knowledge to be passed down for people who are interested in it, which is also why we can kind of get the teachings today. So then we go on to the more recent ones. So recently, I would say around in the 1900s. Yeah, in the 1900s. Yeah. So my teacher's father, Ratna Kaji Bhattacharya. So he's a well-known scholar, right? He's well respected in Nepal at that time. Everyone knows his name. He is very very well versed in scriptures, rituals, and all the philosophies and stuff. And he was kind of like a revolutionary in that sense, because at that time, Noah, no one actually really wanted to spread Newah Buddhism until he came about. He was quite brave, and he went against the flow of societal norms back then. So he promoted the rituals, he promoted the satanas, the texts, and also meditative dancing, which we'll talk about because it's a very unique form in Newah Buddhism. So yeah, so that's him. So he was the one who pushed forward this tradition of allowing more and more people to know, not only for Nepalese people, but also for now people like me, like a Singaporean person from faraway place. So yeah. And so today, as for my tradition, it's led by my teacher, Prachura Ratnavajracharya. So this is his biography. Prachura, you be maybe open to share? Oh, I think
Okay. Yeah, that's me. That's never tried to really dance with other. I don't know what should I need to tell? What should I say?
Thanks. I have these two things. Basically, maybe just something you like to share about your.
Oh, yeah, this tradition is in the Newah tradition. It's as the Matthews already mentioned that, Sastra Bajra is 2,200 years before my temple been built in the Kathmandu, heart of the Kathmandu Valley, and I'm coming from that lineage. So carry on, and also I'm just taking my foot to step with my father's left whatever he's doing. So I just try to keep continues my father's job, and sharing the sacred knowledge to the world. So that's why we built it here in the monastery of the temple here in the west. It's in the Nityamala Mahabhyara, and it's been 15 years just a couple days before. It was a 15-year anniversary that's been celebrating. So we have an all day, and we did the 5 rituals and all the dancings and part of the dance also. So yeah, we've been continuous practicing here. That's what we've been doing here. So
Thank you. So this is then my own experience. So prior to 2020, I was doing most of the time I was in Tibetan Buddhism. Um, until I think I saw a video about Chaya Nidra, which is the tantric meditative dances, and that got me really curious because I don't think I've ever seen a practice so artistic in the sense that you could involve dancing and singing as a means to attaining liberation. So I remembered my first time I sent a message to my teacher, and he was very kind enough to actually had a Zoom meeting with me. And then from there, he taught me a lot of things. So he actually gave me like a initiation, and that initiation I think was kind of like something that changed my life a little bit because then I started to practice. I started to become more interested in the path, and yeah, I mean it's just it's just great. Like I can't really describe the experience. So, um, but all in all, it did actually make me feel like I need to go to Nepal. There was a sense of almost like an urgency, you would say, to travel to Nepal. So in just last year, I actually did it for the first time. As you can see, there's the sadhus in the Shiva temple. There's one of my friends who is a lama. We are in a cave. The Kumari goddess, uh, yeah, yeah, that was me right there. Yeah, so very powerful child goddess they would call. And yeah, a stupa here. So I'd like to share maybe just three things in Nepal, three places in Nepal that I've been on my during my travels. So in case if any one of you would be going to Nepal in the future, you know where to go because like it's it's recommended and it's really good. Yeah. So the first one it's the Golden Temple of Nepal. So this is in the city of Patan. It's also a very famous temple. I think it should be a UNESCO heritage temple. Yeah. So it's near one of the main squares of Patan. And one of the main things, as I was told by the other Vajrashayas in Nepal, was that this is the only temple that holds a very ancient scripture of the Pragya Paramita Sutras. Pragya Paramita Sutras are very important in Buddhism. It's probably, you could say, the heart of Buddhism, whether you're in Chinese Buddhism, which in Singapore, it's a big thing, right? Um, Zen Buddhism, Japanese Buddhism, whatever kind of Buddhism, this is kind of really the essence of it. So the thing about them is, if I don't know if you can see here, if you could see on the top, you could see like some golden ink scripture. Yeah. So every few years or so, the inks would fade. So the priests of the temple have to rewrite the entire scriptures in gold ink again as a community, and to kind of preserve the text as it has been for the past few hundred years. Maybe because like you have an insider, so if any of you would like to have a ritual performed the next time by a Vajrayana priest, you can. The Prajna Paramita rituals mm, are very famous there. So if you go and you like to experience it for yourself, definitely do let me know as well. Or you could ask one of the priests there if they could do it for you. And just a side thing, it also has a Tibetan Buddhist monastery on the second floor. So personally for me, I found it very interesting because when I walked in, on the first floor, I could hear the chantings and melodies of the Newah Buddhist pantheon. But as I walked to the second story, I could hear people chanting Tibetan and having the Tibetan melodies again. So it's very multicultural in that sense. So if you like to visit this temple, it's really good. Yeah. And then the second place, it's in Hafing. This place is kind of somewhere in the mountains, probably 40 to 50 minutes from the main city. So this cave, it's attributed to the enlightened mystic or enlightened Buddha. People call him the second Buddha of the Himalayan mountains. He's called Guru Padmasambhava or Guru Rinpoche in Tibetan, if you're all more familiar with the name. So in this cave, he was said to have attained uh, the city of Mahamudra, which is also like enlightenment basically. So, he was practicing the Arafu deity Vajrakilaya there, and then he attained kind of like or he realized his own mind as a deity and therefore attained enlightenment in that sense. And so because of that, he became like a master of the tantras and all the sutras of the Buddhist tradition, and he then transmitted the teachings throughout both Tibet and Nepal during his travel. So in Tibet, actually, he's revered as like the second Buddha. So if you go there, you could probably find a lot of like yogis, yoginis, or monks and nuns. They are usually sitting there. Like when I went there the last time, I remember there was a lama chanting certain texts, and then me and my other friend, we were just meditating there. So it's very serene and very tranquil. So very powerful place. So I thought I'd like to share it. And the last one, it's the Naropa cave. This is near to the Bodhanath Stupa and also very near to the airport actually. So this cave, it's located inside the Shiva temple. So it's a very huge temple. It's almost like, for me, it's like the Vatican City or something. But yeah, you have to walk in and kind of go quite deep in the temple. Although because they have open cremation grounds there, so you have to walk through a few of those cremation grounds before you actually do reach the cave. So yeah, that's how you can get there. But Naropa, he was famous for his transmissions of the six yogas. In Tibetan Buddhism, the six yogas are quite famous and a lot of people practice them. For example, they can do lucid dreaming, they can do like enhancing they call it tumo, which is kind of like enhancing the fire within oneself to increase the body temperature, stuff like that. But this was where he was believed to have attained enlightenment as well. And the thing about this cave is that there are two caves. There's one cave that belongs to him, another cave that belongs to his teacher. So you can kind of go simultaneously to whichever cave that you feel most comfortable with. People come here to meditate due to the spiritual energy and power that it possesses. I do recall that one of my friends was a lama as well. He said that he felt like a certain certain energy there that is very good, ideal even for one's spiritual practice. So if you ever go to Nepal, there's some places you can go to, and yeah. So with that, we'll go to the main part of today's teachings, which is the unique features. So the first unique feature is that I found very interesting, which I think many of us would find interesting as well. It's a lay lineage. So as have been said previously, it became a lay lineage due to the historical reasons of persecution and repression by the major kingdoms. So I I do recall that the last time, for example, it was as if the whole family was practicing Buddhism together. So when I was in Nepal, basically, I was in the Golden Temple, and I remember I was kind of taking part in a ritual there, and so basically the main priest he was the father of the family, right? So he was doing like the main mantras and all the mudras and all the uh, scriptures and everything. And then I was sitting beside his wife, right? So the wife, she was doing some sort of ritual effigies to help out with the ritual as well. And then their son, which is also happens to be one of my good friends, um, he was sitting there chanting the scriptures alongside with the other priests as well. So in a way, they were all practicing together as a family, which I really don't see quite often, and I don't think a lot of people would actually envision that uh, as a form of how do you say, as a form of like monasticism, but in a very uh, lay kind of way, where you encompass it, where you don't really separate yourself out from the world, but you're in the world, but you're also kind of out of the world. So it's a very beautiful way of union in that sense. So historically, I think I should say this. Historically, the teachings could only be spread through family to family, right? So if you weren't born into the Vajracharya lineage, then you most probably wouldn't become a Vajracharya. But nowadays, this probably has been changed a bit. I know with my teacher, he has been very kind. He has allowed for people, even like us who are not born into the lineage of the Vajracharyas, to, if we are interested and if we are serious about it, then there could be considerations to initiate us into the lineage and learn more about this. So it's a kind of a revolutionary thing, which I thought maybe I'd like to share with everyone here. And the second one is that it's all in Sanskrit. The teachings are all in the most ancient language. So, for example, because I was born into Chinese Buddhism as a child, I remember when my family were doing sutras or mantras, even with my grandma, all of it were translated into Chinese. So, uh, I guess some of like how the melodies and perhaps some of the uh some of the melodies were a little bit different, and even the feel of it was very different from perhaps how it was like in the past, right? Because now people can translate that to English, Chinese, Japanese, Korean even. So it's very hard to find a tradition that still uses the Sanskrit language. And I think the Sanskrit language was probably what the most ancient masters have used and what the most ancient masters have taught, and how they spoke, how they chanted, even the melodies and everything. So when I first got into Newah Buddhism, mm, it just felt like a different place. it felt surreal. It felt like you were back in time in the as how the ancient masters would be, how the ancient people would be when Buddhism first started. So it was very interesting in that way. The other thing it's about Newah Buddhism, it's there's a emphasis on rituals a lot. So there's life cycle rituals. Um, yeah, so you had your birthday rituals, you had your when you're old, when you're 77 years old, you had to do another ritual. When you're married, when it's a new year, you do like a self-purification ritual. And if you have a new baby, you do a rice feeding ritual. I know my teacher recently had the marriage and had the baby as well. And so it was there that he did a rice divination ritual for his child as well. And yeah, so a lot of rituals in the wild Buddhism. So there's also the Guru Mandala, the Homa fire rituals. Fire rituals are on the whole very common in all forms of Vajrayana Buddhism. Even in Chinese Buddhism, like we have that as well, some of them. So yeah, but something about the wild Buddhism, it's the one of these two, which I'll do in the next slide here. So these two rituals are probably more exclusive to the tradition. Now, the Nine Planets ritual is a very famous one. It combines South Asian astrology with Buddhist tantric practices. So there's kind of like a merge, right, between that. And this is quite common for Buddhism as well, because what Buddhism does is that they would that they are Buddhist teachings are like water, right? And cultures are like a cup. So it would take the shape of the cup. So I think there's a very interesting interplay of culture and the essence of Buddhism all in one here. So what people can do in the ritual here is if you have any obstacles, um, say your job difficulties, obstacles in life, things that you can't relieve, you feel like there's something that's preventing you from accomplishing your wish, then the Nine Planets ritual helps to dispel all this by working with some astrological influences with that. So I've I've done it once, and I'm just going to say that yeah, it does work from my experience at least. So the next one is the Guru Mandala Puja. This is probably the root of all the other rituals in Newah Buddhism. So basically, it's kind of like a healing ritual, but it's also a way for you to purify your body and the environment before any other rituals start, right? Because mm, there's a belief that you first have to purify yourself and the whole environment in order for whatever that you're doing to be more successful and stuff. So this is actually so whatever kind of rituals you do, whether it's initiations or anything, everything has to be done first with the Guru Mandala Puja. So this is it, and it's only for like probably an hour and a half. So yeah, I mean, if you have not done it and if you're interested, definitely recommend that. It's a way for you to kind of immerse yourself in the rituals on the wild Buddhism. So the next one would be Nyasa. Basically, from at least from what I know, Nyasas are not readily taught in some traditions of Buddhism. So the concept of this is probably you probably wouldn't even find information about that. But so I was very amazed when I encountered Newah Buddhism. So Nyasas are kind of like a South Asian, how do you say, approach to kind of like protecting the body, the mind, and the speech, right? So it kind of protects you from any negative influences before you start your spiritual practice. So I don't know if I can share this a lot, but maybe I'll just share it like briefly. So there are certain seed mantras, and basically you just use either your right hand, your left hand. You touch like this part or this or the neck or the heart area, or yeah, different parts of the bodies, maybe the eyes and everything, and then you kind of chant a certain mantra to it, and basically what happens is that it's believed that mm, you would be pretty much protected as the mantras go into the certain parts of the body. So and also there are mantras and mudras as well for protecting then the environment, protecting then the mind, or yeah, the mind and the environment and the body. So there's things like that. So it's a very esoteric thing if you're interested in esoteric terminologies. So the next one is chakras as well. Chakras are also very popular in Tibetan Buddhism and Vajrayana Buddhism as a whole. And the Newah Buddhism has that as well. And basically, before we start the practice, usually we have to also awaken what we call like the energy power centers in our this body of ours, this subtle body of ours, right? So there are different mantras for different points of the chakras. Like here, the we have the five chakra system. So it's like the head, the neck, the heart, the navel, and the root chakra. So five different mantras for that. And basically, essentially you have to meditate on one point of the body and then chant the mantra and kind of feel it coming in and kind of just imbuing that part of the body with that energy. Yeah. And so after doing it, you would basically feel like there's a sort of different energetical flow in the body. And this energetical flow will kind of help your spiritual practice as well. When you're meditating, chanting mantras, or, doing rituals and etc., etc. So the next thing is the Buddhism has sadhanas. So first of all, before you do a sadhana, you have to get a initiation ceremony. So you have to get a guru who can teach you these things. You have to get a guru who has himself or herself already got all the transmissions and gave it to you. And then after that, you're then kind of permitted to recite the sacred mantras. And I say permitted not because there's a rule or something, but because more of like you're engaging in energies that are quite potent. So it's better for you to have been given the appropriate advice and the blessings already before you start reciting these mantras, because sometimes it might actually cause some issues to your body. Like I've been warned in the past, even by family, that or some friends, that some people go crazy, like doing practices like this without the proper guidance and advice, right? So I spoke too much about this. Let's go into the main essence, the main teachings. So basically, in essence, you imagine the whatever deity that you want, be it mm, let's say Kuan Yin, right? I guess everyone knows who Kuan Yin is. It's very famous in Southeast Asia, Hong Kong as well, and maybe in the US it's Avalokiteshvara. Yeah. So you imagine you imagine the deity, then you recite the mantra of the deity, and you kind of just make your mind deep and absorb into into both of into whatever that you're doing, right? And then in the end, you kind of feel like the deity kind of dissolves into you, and you realize your innate essence as the Buddha itself. So you become the Buddha at the end, right? And then you take the fruit as the path. So what I mean to say is you you act and believe yourself as the Buddha because you already are. So in that way, ultimately people would feel like, okay, there's sort of like a good divine energetical flow in body, speech, and mind, and people also receive how should I put this? Certain worldly and spiritual realizations that are very helpful. And when you're able to tap into that, you're able to help the entire world as well to attain the liberation just as you have. So it kind of works in that way. So that's the sadhanas. And something I would like to add as well between Tibetan and Newah Buddhism, it's that sadhanas in Tibetan Buddhism, for example, they tend to be very grand. They tend to be maybe a little bit complicated as well. For example, you have to visualize like the whole world as a mandala, or the whole world as a deity's palace, the palace of the deity. So sometimes they will ask you to imagine, okay, like in front of you, you have to imagine this and this. On the right, on the left, on at the back, you have to imagine this and this, and then you become the deity, and your heart has the Sanskrit mantras like kind of like rotating around, blessing everyone. So it's a bit complicated in that. And for Newah Buddhism, as far as I know, as far as what I've been taught, it's just it's simple in the sense that it's just like the deity, you, mantras, and just you keep doing that, and you just kind of just get concentrated into the whole thing. So not so it's more simple and more direct in that sense. So it's a personal a personal experience as well. So just wanted to share. But of course, both are good in their own ways, you know. Now for mudra yoga, maybe would Prachul, would you be comfortable to share more about the mudras?
Yeah, I mean, so the, mudras is hundreds of thousands of mudras in the text. So if you look into the ritual text, there's hundreds of mudra. Then if you go to the Natishastra, they have a certain way of a mudra presenting. But Newah Buddhism is this very, very different way of mudra to be present. Its mudra is every single person's have a own mudra. So the recognizing the own mudra and presenting with the inner part or from the heart, it's coming out, then it is called a true mudra. People making that gesture with the one gesture, but this can be the anything. It doesn't mean anything until you don't keep the mind, body, mind, and speech in there. So the mudra in the Newah Buddhist traditions, it's about, wherever you keep the body, mind, and speech in anything you do. And then it's coming from your heart and really concentrate, really, really deep into, then it became a true mudra. For example, like if I do the flowers, the flower is the body, a flower is a form. So form have the essence, with something smells, something's life, it's in the flower. So when you get into the forms and essence is about the speech. So when you come to combine together with the forms and the speech, and then it's come with the life and make it transformations. So that's why it's every mudra in the Newah Buddhist tradition, you have to be connected to body, mind, and speech. Body is the form means the visual, anything you see in the visually. and speech is like there's nothing to see there, like the piece of cups here. So when you see the cup is like a wow, but when you see that the cup have many different things inside in a cup. So when you're looking into the deeper inside, it's the awakening things happening there. So speech, only you see the cup, but inside, if you look to see, there's a clay, there's a mixture with a lot of things, with the whole universe in there, which is you don't see that part. So the mudra, that's why it's a mudra. When you come to the point with the body and a speech combined together, it's just like a lightnings and illumination happening. So that is the mudra in Newah Buddhist traditions. So mudra just don't make it just like, oh, this is called the Gyana mudra, this is, it's a salutation mudra, this is just a name to communication. But mudra, deeper mudra is like you need to go into deeper, and its awakening have to be happy to be there. That's called a mudra in the Newah Buddhist tradition. So yeah, it is mentioned here. So Kai Baka Chitta Mudra, only the figures. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yes. Healing themselves in the mudra. Yeah. Also, that's the healing powers is there once you get connecting with that way. Once you have into the powers in that way, it's have a deep in awakening things happening itself. So that's what the mudra is. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. So the next one is Shaya Nritya, which is the ritual dancing that I talked about earlier. So Chaya Nitya has now, whenever we think of this, let's just say the motto of it is it comes from the Havajra Tantra of Buddhism. It says, without dance and singing, you cannot attain enlightenment. While there are many different paths to attain awakening, for sure, this is one of those where if you're into dance, you're into singing, like I like to dance, right? So, it provides a very skillful way, for you to use these artistic elements to kind of attain the liberation and enlightenment in that sense. So when they say dance, it means meditative gestures, meditative movements, and when they say singing, it refers to singing of the sacred texts and sacred mantras. So to kind of show everyone how it's like, I've done some research earlier. So so this is one of the videos that I found. Yeah, and there's also another one, right? So this is one of the Buddhist Buddhas, which we call her Tara. So this is the dance of Tara. Yep, so this is it then. So the thing about Chaya Nritya, first of all, it focuses not only on the mind aspect of things. Most Buddhist texts usually emphasize a lot of mind, like mental cultivation, which is very important, obviously. But in Tantra and in Chaya Nitra, there's also a equal heavy emphasis on one's body as well. I think one of the great teachers of Buddhism, he said that the body is your temple. The body is that he has never found a more blissful place, a blissful temple, other than his own body. So this kind of forms the foundation of also Chayanitra. So it then has the foundation of deity yoga that we talked about earlier. Perhaps I called it the sadhana. So what this means is that you have to do your tantric practices, right? Um, you have to practice to a point where you kind of feel like the deity or Buddha that you're practicing kind of really merges with you, and you have to feel like you are the Buddha himself, that you've awakened that seed of Buddha mind within yourself. And so it is through this that we also visualize like the qualities of the Buddha, So I got something for everyone here. Please give me a while. So I made this mask many years ago, part of my Charya Nitra dancing. So, for example, people would usually contemplate on the deity's form, right? So, like if you look at this, you could see that there's the third eye, there's the crown, the hair. Not sure if you could see the fangs and also the what's this called, the earrings, right? And the red skin. So all of this kind of has a certain meaning to it that you have to contemplate on during the actual the first and foremost meditation. So for example, third eye represents wisdom, the crown represents meditation, this represents patience. The red skin, yeah, yeah, so it has a lot of meanings to it, right? So you contemplate on the meanings of the Buddha there. And of course, there are also many other things. There are people sometimes wear necklaces, they wear bracelets, perhaps they wear something that represents tiger skin, but it's not really tiger skin, it just looks like it, right? So each of this has specific meaning. So people always say there's outer, inner, and secret meanings. So once you've been taught by the guru or the teacher, the actual meanings of this, then you have to bring it into your mind and your body. You have to, so more than just the outer appearance itself, the more the meaning, and the meaning is more important in that sense. Because some people might say like, okay, so if we dress up like this, then would we fall prey to spiritual materialism? Would we be attached to the outer forms? But actually, it's a very skillful way. It's a very skillful way of using art and what we perceive as beautiful and enchanting, even to use it as a form for attaining liberation. Because when we look at how beautiful it is, we think how beautiful it is to, let's say, have the third eye, to have wisdom, to know the nature of reality and attain liberation. How beautiful it is. How beautiful it is to have that. So it's very skillful in that way. In Buddhism, people will call that skillful means or upaya. So in Chaya Nitra, then as you meditate deeper, your body also transforms. So like eventually when someone who practices a lot and dances it, more and more they would feel like the qualities of that particular Buddha arises within them, and even the energies kind of just permeate through the entire body and mind. So it's a very skillful practice, I would say, and every movement has a divine meaning as well. So I remember many years ago, I I wrote this text during a teaching. So this is a a song and a dance to the deity, to the Buddha deity Vajrayogini. So, for example, you can see like Nat 1 Shri Vajravari, right? So there will be different mudras as well. So like Nat 1 is like Namaste, which is I respect Shri, and when you do this, it's kind of like, okay, this is like the glorious Vajravari. So you do the pose of the deity like this, yeah, and yeah. So basically, even when I'm dancing, I'm not simply dancing. I'm really reflecting and thinking of all of the meanings of this. So in a way, it becomes a contemplation meditation, imaginative meditation, and also a mantra meditation, all in one, right? So I'd like to share one last video on this. Just give me a while. So this is the deity that we are looking at. So it's a very focused kind of practice as well. And so this is kind of like I'm the leader of all the Buddhas, and that is me, the deity. My heart is boundless, and I'm very giving. So this is the perfection of generosity, wisdom. And you're giving blessings to all the beings, and this is wisdom, and giving the wisdom to everyone and everywhere as the deity yourself. So it's things like that that kind of also spiritualizes the dancing and singing in itself. So personally, for me, as someone who enjoys the arts, I thought this was a very interesting thing. And perhaps if any one of you is also interested in the artistic elements, then perhaps you could also try it out for yourself one day. So we are coming to the end. So we are just going to introduce you to some of the slokas, which are the songs, the mudras, and the mantras. Yeah. So, would you be comfortable with leading the practice?
Chanting spirit. Ana Ananda Sakti Parivarjita Mantra Garbham Tattvanarupa Nikhilartha Vidana Hetum Astanga Sadhana Kara Parameswara cha Nate Swaram Sakala Siddhi Bara Namame Ham.
Thank you. So, yeah, this is the dancing emanation of Kuan Yin. Like Kuan Yin Pusa in Southeast Asia, right? Or in Singapore, it's very famous. So this is this is her or him. I don't know. Kuan Yin appears in many different forms. So this is the dancing aspect of her. So we are being connected to this lineage through the praises now. So I would try to. So if any of you is comfortable, maybe you could also do the practice with me, and I would teach you guys how to like do like the mudras and the mantras and the meanings as well. Okay, so we first say like Om, which refers to the entire universe. Om as the primordial sound of the universe, and then we say Guru Buddha. So we are appreciating the Buddha who has taught us the teachings. Guru Dharma. In this way, it is referring to the Bodhisattva of wisdom, Manjushri. So we are appreciating, and also becoming the wisdom itself through this Guru Sangha, which is the Bodhisattva of compassion, Kuan Yin. And we kind of embody that compassionate elements of the Buddha himself. And Tata Bhaja, which is simply just saying like, okay, so in this way, then we then embody the primordial Buddha. Primordial Buddhas are or they call it the Adi Buddha. They are essential focal point of all of Vajrayana Buddhism. So in this way, we become Vajradhara Buddha, which is the Adi Buddha of this tradition. So then we say like Tasmaye Shri. So the body that is so splendorous, Guruve Namo, and we bow down to all these teachers out of appreciation for their teachings to us. So in that sense, we do the prayer dance like this. I wouldn't say I won't go through like the dance today, but more just the mantras and mudras. Because it can get quite complicated and usually it takes maybe more than half an hour to learn all the steps because you need to know the preliminaries and everything. So first we say like, so we put our hands like this first, right? So we do Om, and then you form a mudra here. You can see it. Yeah. So we put it on top and then we keep saying Om, like Om. And then we go on to the next pose. So we're embodying the Buddha now. So Guru Buddha. Then we embody wisdom. So we imagine there's a sword here. And then we imagine there's the book scripture here of wisdom. And then we say Guru and Dharma. And we embody compassion. So Guru Sangha Tata Vaisha. And now we embody the Adi Buddha, the primordial Buddha. So we put so first we do this, right? And we put the right hand over the left. So the right hand's kind of in front and do this. And Guru Vajradhara Shaiva. Then we bow down in the sense of saying Tasmaye Shri. And we put our hands on the floor. And then we go up and we look up in the sky like this. Guru Ve. And go back to the prayer position. Namo. And then to end the refuge prayer dance, we do this again. So Om. And then we bow down, and then we bow to all the directions. And the reason why we bow down to all directions is because we want to remain humble. So we are saying like, okay, everyone is equal, everyone is equally respected. So therefore, we bow down to everyone in this way, out of appreciation and equality in that sense. So in Buddhist traditions, after some sharing of the Dhamma, or when you have finished a spiritual practice, we do dedications. Dedications are kind of like a way for us to, in more modern words, to manifest things, right? To manifest our prayers, to manifest our wishes, and all these things. So, if you're all comfortable, maybe we can do it together. So the first one, you will sit here so it's easier for you to see. Put our hands like this. So jump ho, bum ho, and then we put here and fame. So we're like blessing it, right? We are blessing whatever, and we are blessing it, and we are sealing all the good energies in our body, speech, and mind. And then we do this, right? And we kind of hook the right index finger over the left index finger like this, Vajrayankusaja. So we are hooking all these good energies within, and then we now next to the next mudra. So we do this and this with the right hand over the left hand, and Vajra Asa Hrim, and then we come back again. And we do this. So it kind of interlocks like this. And then we make a circle around to transform it into a mandala in our body. So Vajra Puto Ubam. And the last one is a bit more complicated. So for you, if you could do this mudra first and put the right hand in front while this kind of faces you like this, and bring them together, interlock the right pinky finger onto the left pinky finger, the right index finger on the left index finger, right? So and then you pull it back to the heart, and you say Vajra Beso Ho. And so now what you're essentially doing is you have transformed it into wisdom, to be able to spread the good energy everywhere and to everyone in this way. So yeah, we can do it together. Yeah. So Jam ho bam ho, fim, Vajram kusaja, Vajra basagrim, Vajra puto bam, Vajran veso ho. So whatever merits and virtues that we have accumulated here today, may we all realize the state of enlightenment, and through this, may all sentient beings also realize the state of enlightenment. So yeah. So we've come to the end of the
Om
presentation.
Sarvamangalam.
Yeah, so we come to the end. So now it's Q&A. So if you have any questions, you may feel free to ask. You're new, you're interested, or you can even type the questions. Thank you.
Take the sharing part, take away, so we can get a face.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, good. And I will speaker gallery, so I'll take out the pin. Great. Thank you, Matthew. It was wonderful presentation. That was great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody have any questions? Please. Unmute. It's pretty good. So, if any questions, just unmute and ask the questions.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I was wondering, Matthew, like not knowing you, previously, how much time did you spend in Nepal or study in Nepal? And how much time did you study with Prajal here?
Oh, okay. So I've only been to Nepal for say like 3 weeks in person, but other than that, during the 3 weeks, I would say I have learned quite a lot of things. So it's kind of like probably for me quite intense. So yeah, and I've been studying under Prajal for around 3 years, 3, 4 years, I think, if my memory is right. But it has been some years. Yeah, it's been amazing. Like I've uh, learned a lot of things, and like it's kind of like sometimes as you grow, some of the advices and teachings kind of just click in your mind like that. So very appreciative.
Okay. Yeah. Anybody have any questions?
I'd like to maybe say to Matthew something, if I may.
Go ahead.
Oh, Matthew, so I want to say I really appreciated your presentation on Newah Buddhism was so beautiful. I didn't realize how everything that I've experienced in this practice with Prajal as a teacher for so many years has been expressed so beautifully through your mind, and just such a lovely experience. And I wanted to address something and add, it's such a complex thing you pointed out about the complexity of visualization. And I wanted to say one of the most compassionate practices I've had to have to practice in this practice has been finding out that I have a sort of an aphantasia, which is a lack of ability to see things very well in my mind. And I've had it since I was a child. And so this practice has been incredibly useful for me to have a connection with the deity. It's just been incredible to find that out about myself and to see how difficult it was and to learn how much compassion I needed to know that I couldn't see in my mind things that you have to have a really decent experience to do that sometimes, which is I think the goal of life, maybe, but not all. Sometimes the mind isn't able to see, but with this practice all the wisdom just magically just comes through with no obstacles. So that's a very, like, I wanted to point that out. So, and I've been Prajal's student for 9 years at this point. So thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. It's very beautiful.
Okay. Any questions? Any more questions? Anybody have a? Yes, yeah. That's a great. You have a great presentation and making very nice in this. Gradually building up, all from the foundations to the all the way to the basically call it enlightened. Dancing with the dancing. So that's just amazing. That's a great, wonderful. Yeah.
I would like to see the mask again because it took me a while to figure out how to see the mask. Like I was looking at the slide at your side and it took me a minute to be able to see. Like I only switched over to see your mask like the last few seconds. You could show the mask you made again and say who it is. Mask you made.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I didn't get to
You mean
see
to
it.
ask who the mask is made for? Like what?
No, I wanted to see it.
Oh, you
Sure.
want to see it? Okay, sure.
I couldn't see it when you were showing it.
Here we go. Yeah, please.
Wow. Is it?
Yeah,
That's pretty dramatic.
thank you.
Yeah, artistic. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, and I see like a question on the chat by Anna. So yeah, like I would try to do the recordings first, and then after that maybe we can put it up online. Yeah.
Can I ask your opinion about something kind of important, Matthew?
Go ahead.
Yes.
I was wondering how do you feel about initiations that are done online? I know the question is you probably refer to Prajwal, but I want to know your opinion because it's such a new thing, you know. These initiations, the tradition of initiations goes back into ancient times, of course. And so now it's the first time initiations are done online. So even yoga classes are done on Zoom. This is Zoom right now. So I wanted to know your opinion about that, if you don't mind. I don't have a judgment at all. I'm just really curious. I know Prajwal is the one who is reserved to make his decisions whether he does them, but how do you feel about it? Online initiation.
I think different teachers have different views and perceptions on it. I myself, I don't have like a strong yes or no answer to it, but sorry, let me think about this. I think there's beauty in both of them. There's definitely beauty in having online initiations because it's more it's more accessible, right? To get the teachings and all the secret mantras and everything. However, at the same time, I feel if you're actually in person and you're doing it live, perhaps the energy and the transmissions would probably be a little bit stronger. I do recall when I had the initiation with Pratro online, he also mentioned to me that it would be good for me to actually receive an live initiation in person the next time. So if you ask me my view, I think it's good to get connected. It's good to get connected first before you actually do the live one. But then again, I'm just a student. I'm just a student. I'm not the master or anything. So it's just my opinion.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you. I didn't realize you'd had an online one. I thought I didn't really know. I thought maybe it's still so new. So I think it really benefits. If you're online, then that's great. Maybe it's just an opening for, maybe like for in person, because I can't imagine it would be like a satisfactory thing to have a guru online. I don't know. Oh, I hope you can study with him in person sometime.
Yes, I do. It's actually one of my plans. Yeah, like
Did you went on a trip with him then?
no,
Oh, that's too
yeah,
bad.
I'm
I'm so
solo.
sorry. Oh, he's such a
Yeah,
good student for sure.
yeah, but
Oh,
I do hope
good.
I do hope someday. Yeah, I'm
Oh, for
making
sure.
plans.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I think online is a good thing. If you come from online, then yay, that's terrific. I guess that's so sad too. So anyway.
So there's a text on the talk, I think, by Shivani. So Shivani says this is her first time, and she's actually a friend of mine as well. So she said she found this Buddhism prayers somewhat similar to those in Hindu prayers. So she's curious how both religions are connected in this sense. Prachur, would you be able to reply? Because yeah, my knowledge of this is.
Kajal, unmute.
Hindus and Buddhists is a vast difference religious in the lots of different way, but in Nepal, when you look at that way, it's very similar looking for the outsider. for the outer viewers. Once you get into looking into inside, the view is very different. Like even in the deities, mostly in the Buddhist deities, like they hold the sword, they hold the bow and arrow. It's for the transformation, it's for the wisdom. But the Hindus, they more like the killing part. So, but ways like how that goes in Nepal, especially not in other country. You don't see in any other country. Only Nepal goes. Then lack of studies, lack of understanding, lack of going to the deeper understanding with those religious. Just only surface, like my father told me, my grandfather told me, just outer way. If you're looking that way, then it is all religious. It's the same. So that's a happening. It's very much look like oh, this is Hindu too. He's a Buddhist too. But when you go to the deeper, it's make a vast difference into the Hindus and Buddhists. So that I can say. This is other question there. Okay. Okay, so that's good. Then anything in the final closings?
I have a question, Matthew. I just want to know what inspired you to have this presentation.
For me, the initial one was kind of just to allow more people in Singapore to know about Newah Buddhism. Because I realized not a lot of people know it here, and because a lot of people here also practice Vajrayana Buddhism from the Tibet side of things. I thought it would be interesting or it would be good for people to also be exposed to more things, So my intention was this, yeah.
Thank you. It was really beautiful. And I hope that you do put it online. That would be really cool.
Thank you.
Great.
Matthew, one day we will go to Nepal and do the documentary, okay? One day very soon, hopefully next early part of next year.
Yeah, I'll message you soon. Yeah.
That's really great. Yeah. It's a great, very unique traditions. It's been for thousands years. So I gave a lots of talk on the Guru Vikings. The whole history is about how old the Newah Buddhism back in tracking before the even Sakyamuni Buddha. So there is a Korkutsan Buddha, Kanakamuni Buddha. Before that, before Shri Buddha came there. So it's still in Nepal. They still have that. It's the what do you call it, the site of where you can see the Kasyapa Buddhas and the Kanakamuni Buddhas before the Sakyamuni Buddhas. So those places, and then the Asoka came there taking refuge into the Nepal and built a stupa. That's also in the 3rd century. So that's already popular Buddhism there way back into the and then we haven't counted that we have thousands of the primary Buddha, which is called Dipankar Buddhas. But everywhere is the Dipankar Buddhas. Once a month they display like thousands of Dipankar Buddhas in every corner appear, and then nobody done the research that how old the Dipankar are and where this came from, how that happening. In every Bihara they have a Dipankar Buddhas, which is primary Buddhas, which is the previous Buddhas. So that's kind of things like is making very unique. But Nepal have a little sad histories. It's been covered by the Hindus, and then it's not that much research is done, and not in promotion is not done, and nobody, the research it's not been done, and but there's a few people who write a book all in Newar language, and then it stay in the Newar culture only. So it doesn't promote to the outside the world. But now more people are interested in the Newah Buddhism, so lots of scholars start to knowing about the Newah Buddhisms, and how unique, how practiced, and daily life is rituals and the also the part of the teachings through with the rituals, to be how to be a good persons and how to create the harmony, love, and kindness, generate with this ritual. So that's also Newah Buddhism. So it has been not been taught and not been, we don't have a great teachers in Newah because it doesn't allow for us to be in the world to talk about Newah Buddhism. That's also the other problem. Now it is coming. There is a 4 university actually in the Newah Buddhism. So in Kathmandu Valley, so they built, they started teachings started not long ago. So I hope in the future that will be growing more for Newah Buddhism. So, yeah.
Crystal, do these universities teach in the Newah language?
Not language. Language they use Nepali. So because it's Nepal, all Nepal have a Nepali language. So, but as a foreigner, you can also study in the English. They must be also the English media to some place. So. Even you can study with the Powa painting right now, Powa painting and a sculpture, and how to draw the Buddhist sculptures, in a traditional way. So they've been teaching that. That's in the university. You can get a graduate from there and dance, that's also in the university right now. So yeah. Great. I was also planning, today is a great full moon day. It is considered to be Nepal, which is like a seed being thrown into the blossoming the thousands of petals, and then they're celebrating all the grains and whatever produced the grains in the whole entire Nepal. They're making elaborate Buddhist symbol with the grains, like popcorns and the soybeans and all grain. They're making elaborate what's called art work display, and they do the Namasangiti today. So I was thinking, if we done with this way, we're going to do the Namasangiti chantings for also our part, like a full moon Namasangiti chanting. We haven't I hadn't announced it that way. So but whoever can stay, they can stay, and we can do the Namasangiti. I can share the screens and we start the Namasangiti there. So any other questions you have? How any final do you want to get any final closing part? Yeah, that's everywhere it's in Nepal. So we try to do Namasangiti. Okay, Matthew, do you have anything final thing to say? I'm going to share the screens, and whoever can stay, you can stay. But if you have to go, you can go. So we're going to do Namasangiti. It's about 1 hour chanting. So
I think just as a final closing, just want to thank everyone again for joining the presentation, and I hope that everyone will have learned something new today. And if you're interested, you could always we are in a WhatsApp group, so always add more questions to it, and then we'll just do some sharings. So thank you everyone again.
yes, that's great. Yeah, it is wonderful. Okay, does anybody want to stay in an Namasangati? This will be great. If not, they can go. I'm going to share my Namasangati. Oh,
Lovely.
sharing not happening, huh? What happening? What's happening here in my computer?